the United States of America, a nation founded on service. From our very beginnings in 1775 through today, members of the American military have fought for and protected the rights and liberty we enjoy today. America celebrated our first Armistice Day on November 11, 1919, in recognition of the end of major hostilities of World War I, which were formally ended at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918, when armistice with Germany went into effect, ending World War I. At the urging of major U.S. veteran organizations, Armistice Day was renamed Veterans Day in 1954 to honor all who have served in the United States military, including the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Coast Guard, and Space Force. Today, County College of Morris wraps up a week of Veterans Day events with our second annual Heroes and Healers program, thanking our veterans, but also first responders and medical professionals who have worked through the COVID-19 pandemic to keep us safe and healthy. It is our hope that through our programs and our event today, we can adequately convey our sincere appreciation to our active and retired military, law enforcement officers, firefighters, emergency medical service personnel, and medical professionals for all that you have done and continue to do in service to others. Thank you.
Fix.
Oh. You may be seated. Much appreciation to Sheriff Gannon and the members of his Honor Guard for being with us this morning. And as always, students from the County College of Morris Choir for their wonderful rendition of our national anthem. Good morning and welcome. I am Bette Simmons, the very proud Vice President of Student Development and Enrollment Management at County College of Morris. And it is my honor this morning to serve as your host for our program. I am especially excited about this program because it gives us the honor and the opportunity to give thanks to so many people who have helped us over the course of our lifetime, but most importantly, over the last 20 months, as our college, our community, our state, and our nation has been recovering from a devastating pandemic. The opportunity for us to say thank you is never lost on any of us, and any opportunity that we have to do so is truly deserved. And so I am most appreciative that so many of you are here to join us this morning as we give thanks to so many very fine members of our community who have kept us all safe. Now, I know that many of you know one another, and it's so wonderful that we're all here together, but I do want to take the opportunity to give a special recognition to a few folks. And as always, there's the opportunity for us to overlook someone, so in advance I apologize, but I do want to at least give you all a sense of who's with us this morning. In particular, I'd like to welcome and ask you to welcome along with me the Director of the Morris County Board of Commissioners, Mr. Steve Shaw. While I don't believe that Assemblywoman Aura Dunn is here, I do believe that a member of her staff, who is a veteran liaison, is with us, Mr. Willie Tolba. Mr. Tolba? I would like to give a very special welcome to an individual who has worked very closely with the college, or we with him, as he managed the college's and the community's response to the pandemic, and that is Mr. Scott DiGirolamo. Mr. DiGirolamo, welcome. A very good friend of the college and a huge supporter of us as well is Mr. Bill McElroy, who is the chair of the Morris County, the college's foundation board. Bill, and an alum of County College of Morris. And sitting alongside of him is a really good friend of the college, a great supporter of the institution, as well as our students, a former member of the college community as a staff person, Mr. Ed Nelson. Ed. And there are so many members of the college's Board of Trustees who are with us this morning, and I'd like to welcome them, starting off with the chair, the interim chair of the board, Mr. Jeff Advocate. Mr. Advocate. Trustee and great friend, Mr. George Malonis. George. Additional trustee and another wonderful supporter, Trustee Iacono. It's always a pleasure to have a very wonderful support from Trustee Paul Licitra and his wife, who are here, and you'll hear more from Trustee Licitra in a few moments. Additionally, I'd like to welcome another wonderful supporter of the college and the county, and that is Commissioner John Krickus. Commissioner. And then a very special friend of the college who is always here, always supportive. He is a member of our community. He is a voice for us locally as well as within the state. And I'm very honored to always have our Senator Anthony Bucco. These are amazing folks, as are all of you who are here with us this morning. You all really make a difference in our community, and we are very proud to continually be partnering with you to ensure our safety, our health, and our wellness. And finally, I'd like to introduce to you all the individual who has done an amazing job of shepherding County College of Morris through the pandemic, but more importantly, as the leader of our institution for the last 6 years. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Tony Iacono. Dr. Iacono.
Thank you, Dr. Simmons. Good morning. Good morning. I I was thrilled to wake up and see what I saw this morning, which was blue skies. We had been watching the forecast, and it called for gray skies and rain, and here we are on a brilliant, beautiful autumn morning in a land that is free because of the sacrifices made by our United States veterans. Men and women from across the nation, from the 18th century to the present date. In a land that is safe because of our first responders, medical professionals, community and state leaders. In a land where we can meet on a morning like this to say thank you to our heroes and our healers. It is wonderful to be here. Thank you for sharing your gift of time. Thank you for joining us and participating in this appreciation ceremony. This is our second annual Heroes and Healers event. Today's program will consist of two parts. First, we will recognize our first responders, medical professionals, community, and state leaders. When the pandemic arrived, Morris County's response was and remains unparalleled. It was exceptional in every imaginable way. The response was swift, on point, compassionate, and had a tremendously positive impact. Morris County became a state model for emergency responsiveness. In the case of CCM, not a week went by that I didn't hear from our commissioners, particularly Commissioners Shaw, Krickus, and Smith, our commissioner director, and our liaisons, or Administrator Banani. On that same note, Senator Bucco was in constant communication with me in my office. Like our commissioners, he too wanted to ensure that the CCM community was safe and well-resourced to support its employees and to allow us to do our job that we are entrusted with every day here. It was unhesitatingly a true pleasure to work alongside Sheriff Jim Gannon and his team, absolute, consummate, true professionals in every imaginable sense of the word. Working with people like Scott DiGirolamo, Jeff Paul, and others. Remember when the pandemic hit, it was cold outside. It was icy. I get here very early in the morning. Somehow Jim and Scott were always here before me. Barely light outside, icy, snow sometimes, and there they were with their teams in full motion already, doing what they do best. Sheriff Gannon and his teams, logistical masters, to the point where I watched, I learned, and I offered the sheriff the opportunity to revise and run our whole registration system here, drive-through registration for students. It was truly extraordinary how they served people, how they supported people, first with the large-scale drive-through center and then with the indoor. You could not find individuals who know how to run this better than Scott, Jeff, Sheriff Gannon, and their teams that were directly involved. They were our boots on the ground. And let me say to them both, on behalf of County College of Morris, we often say we do great things every day. We do even greater things with the support of the community. Thank you for allowing us to work alongside of you and to support you as well. That was and will always remain a huge honor at County College of Morris. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize the leadership of CCM's Board of Trustees. Behind the scenes, they were heroes also, making huge decisions so that our students' education was not interrupted and so that we could go on and serve the community in many different ways. Our classrooms are only one way in which the community experiences us. Our outreach and the resources we provide to others are another, and that is imperative to continue having their support, their vision, and their guidance. Our administrative team, and especially our public safety and plant and maintenance departments, they are not emergency responders, but working under the direction of the individuals who led that, they were shining stars. They truly worked hard, and together we supported and helped Morris County move forward. Over 20,000, 30,000 tests were provided under ideal conditions to people who were stressed, people who were scared, who didn't understand how this worked. Yet our emergency responders showed them compassion, showed them kindness, did a lot of hand-holding to let them know it would be okay. They were here, and we would get through this as we have other challenges in the past. Following that portion of the ceremony, we will recognize our veterans and remember those who are no longer with us. I'm grateful that we can host events like this to say thank you to the men and women who have made sacrifices that allow us to live the lives we lead in the country that we love and call our home. Across the nation this week, Americans have gathered to remember the men and women who for more than 300 years have fought on our soil and in foreign lands. They have fought for us, and they have fought for others across the globe who often they did not know, so that they would know freedom, they would know democracy, and experience life at its fullest as well. The American people, I would say to our veterans who are here, have not forgotten you, and we never will. We call you veterans, but you are our heroes. Today, you will hear from CCM trustee and U.S. Army veteran Paul Licitra and County Commissioner and U.S. Marine Corps veteran John Krickus. To both groups and to those on our program, on behalf of CCM, I thank you. Your courage, sacrifices, and bold decision-making are why we are here in this room today. During our program, you'll hear from a number of individuals. And so it is now my pleasure to introduce two exceptional leaders, Senator Anthony Bucco and Sheriff Jim Gannon. They are two of the finest gentlemen and leaders that I've ever had the privilege and pleasure to work with. They care deeply about the communities we serve, the state we love, and they work tirelessly, and it is a pleasure to witness and work with them to support every member of the community so that every individual knows that they are cared for, that they have a place in our communities, and that we aspire to help them lead their best life. Together, and with the support of other leaders who may not be on the program today, but we know who you are, we appreciate your being here and the support we receive. Will you please extend our gratitude to Congresswoman Cheryl for being here today? We appreciate the ongoing support. She was one of those individuals who continued to call us through the pandemic, check on us, and make sure we had what we needed as well. We appreciate your being here today. I know Assemblywoman Dunn is planning on joining us, and we appreciate the extensive support she too provided. Together with these individuals, we have forged our way through this storm. It may not be over, but there is at least a quiet in the storm. We're at least at the point where we can begin to believe we are rebuilding into a post-pandemic world. Please join me in welcoming Senator Anthony Bucco and James Gannon.
Thank you, Dr. Iacono. Sheriff, I don't know if we've ever done this before. This is like a comedy act, maybe.
I know it is. Got a couple good ones.
But seriously, what an honor it is for me to be here today for this ceremony for heroes and healers. But before I say a few words about that, let me first recognize all of the veterans and active military personnel that are in the room today. Thank you for your service. While we celebrated Veterans Day on Thursday, today is an excellent reminder that it's not just on Veterans Day that we recognize these heroes. It's every day. Every day we recognize them and say thank you for their service and recognize the commitment they made to our country and the dedicated family that stood behind them during their service. So thank you to all the veterans and active military personnel that are here today. You know, I often brag about Morris County. I'm so proud to represent the county in the legislature. And it's easy to do because when you look around Morris County, you recognize pretty quickly the leadership that exists here, not only at the county level, but here at the county college. You know, when this pandemic hit, the county immediately, through cooperation with its first responders and healthcare professionals, county college, our National Guard, the Sheriff's Office, came together here at the county to put together the testing center that we had. And when you think about that, think about this. All of those folks that were called to come here did so before the vaccine was available. All placing themselves in harm's way every day. You know, those folks that were here, first responders, the healthcare workers, the county college people that responded to make sure that this facility was open and available for testing, thousands of people. Not only did they have to think about their exposure to the virus at a time when we didn't know much other than the fact that we were putting people in ICU in record numbers. So much so that both my office and Congressman Sherrill's office were in constant contact with our emergency rooms and the head of our hospitals here to make sure they had the resources available to keep the doors open. And we came tragically close to having to divert folks to other hospitals. Thank God we never really had to do that. But the people that came up and showed up and volunteered had that in the back of their mind, but yet they were here every day under difficult conditions. And not only was it for themselves, but they had to think about their family as well. Because at night, they had to go home. And, you know, some people ended up sleeping in hotels to protect their family at night so that they could continue to provide the services that we needed to try to control this pandemic. And then once the vaccine became available, Morris County opened a site, right? We opened up the Sears site. And let me tell you, that just doesn't happen. It takes forethought. Somebody at the county level, the commissioners, the administrator, the sheriff's office, our emergency management people were thinking about this while that vaccine was being developed and said, hey, we need a spot where we can immediately deploy folks to get vaccinated, to stop this spread, to stop this horrid disease. And they found the Sears site up at the mall, deployed the National Guard, and immediately started saving people's lives by delivering the vaccine in record numbers at a time when other counties were only starting to prepare for it. The success of that site was recognized so much that the governor was here. And his the health department, the Department of Health, his commissioners, to walk through and see how Morris County was doing the job. That's how Morris County operates. That's the kind of cooperation that we have from the state, county, and municipal governments, and how integral, it was an integral part the college plays in that formula. That's what makes Morris County great. That cooperation, that dedication, those folks that are willing to put their lives on the line to save their fellow man. And that's why, to me, every morning when I get up, I thank God for the great privilege to represent this county and the state in Trenton and do everything I can to make sure that the county and this college has the resources to continue to do the great work that it does, because there is never a doubt in my mind that when I obtain the resources for this county and this college, that they will be put to the best of work. Now it's my pleasure to introduce somebody who has been my friend for a long time. We were in high school together, and I used to try to sit behind him to get the notes off his paper. But the sheriff and I have been good friends for a long time, and he is so well respected, not only here in Morris County, but around the state of New Jersey for his work and the personnel that he's put together. And the success of both programs, we're due in no small part to this man that stands behind me. And it's my pleasure to introduce him and to call him my friend. Thank you. God bless you.
Yeah. Thank you, Senator. Your dad would be very proud, right, of how you've continued the great legacy of the Bucco family and doing just that. We're very fortunate to be friends, but also we accomplish a lot of things together in the police sector, and we're very appreciative for that. I just want to give first of all, a thanks to Dr. Anthony Iacono. We've been around a long time. As I look out and I see Scott and Jeff, and we've been around a long time, and there is no better partner when the bell rings to Dr. Iacono. You're a great man. You're a very intelligent man. You have the interest of the people first and foremost in your mind, and that's not a bad start. You know, this whole process with the global pandemic has taken a toll on people. You know, I see Hope One up top, who were an integral part of this due to issues of mental health and addiction that were occurring through this time too. Didn't stop. And you were of great assistance. You were what we call enablers, right? In a good way. Enablers to our mission. And I'm very appreciative for that, you know. We have to thank all our veterans that are here. You know, 10 November this week, you know, 1775, Tun Tavern, Philadelphia. The crossroads of the Marine Corps, right? We have to think of that. We have to think about certainly November 11th, and all the veterans, and all those first responders and healers out there in our hospitals and in the community. Really, I've seen the best in people. You know, as you all know, at County College of Morris, we had a swabbing center, let's say, and you're right? In the early days of that swabbing center, it was bitter cold. We didn't know what was going on. But when you are following the lead of Scott DiGirolamo and Jeff Paul, you're always going to do well. We're very fortunate to come up into business together. You know, we didn't meet at the crime scene tape, you know, last year. We know each other for a lot. I used to have hair. That's how long ago we know each other, you know. So, but truly phenomenal people from an operational and administrative standpoint of getting these things done right, you know. The funding came through the commissioners, you know, and all the people that touched this really wanted to do right. You know, the senator hit a good point where our officers, we had a lot of our officers who were living outside the home during extended periods of time, renting hotel rooms, you know, and those types of things during this time. But we had a lot of assistance at this site from the Morris County Park Police. Besides the Sheriff's Office, the Morris County Park Police were here throughout that time. All hands on deck. And we really saw the best in people during that time. You know, at County College of Morris, and I think there was a real successful operation. Then we moved to the vaccination site at Sears, you know, the place where you formerly bought a vacuum and got your oil changed. And now vaccines are being delivered to the community. You know, so we call that Operation Safeguard, right? There are a lot of components to it from a law enforcement perspective. There's safety and security of the site, right? And we made a decision early on to maintain the site 24/7. And people say, why would you do that? My concern was that we couldn't allow people to lose confidence in the brand, you know? I came from Novartis, right? So the integrity of the vaccine is extremely important. And if somebody breaks a window out of there, or somebody steals a laptop, or whatever the case may be, I was concerned with that. So we went 24/7 in coverage, even though we weren't open to the public during that time, to ensure that people got the dose they needed to get. Is extremely important. But I saw the best in public and private partnerships through this, really from a career perspective. You know, whether it was the National Guard or the various police agencies, the Sheriff's Office, of course. Scott's folks, you know, Scott was at the tip of the spear with regards to it, didn't go home. You know, Scott has gears in him, and Jeff, they have gears. They don't really have a heart, they have gears. But really, my hat's off to you, and your wife, Scott. Really, who stood by with regards to that time, and Jeff, and you really did a phenomenal job with regards to National Guard. I mean, where would you be without them, right? You really did phenomenal work. But Law and Public Safety, Office of Emergency Management, Division of Public Health, the Medical Reserve Corps, people came off the bench from years of retirement into the Medical Reserve Corps, and we're out there, you know, when you have 340,000 doses later, and knock on wood, no complaints. No complaints. There were people would kid on the way out because we'd see people come in and they were scared, like many of us. When they left, they floated out. They floated out, you know. really saw a change in people when they came out, and people were so supportive because they had what they needed to get through that time. But the New Jersey Department of Health, Atlantic Health System, obviously, what great partners out in the community. But we've the state police were great. I mean, we're really in a good position there, but we wanted to make certain that the operation was a stewardship at its finest, right? We were there to serve alongside the medical and staff to ensure the safety of citizens, And I have to say, I've been fortunate to be around for some years and to be involved with some major operations in the past. But I have to say, it'll go down as the top operation that I've been involved in, because it was people helping people. People checked their ego at the door. People watched the budget, but the commissioners, formerly known as freeholders, the commissioners said, guys, commissioners have sharp pencils, and they should. At the interest of the community, they should. And when you're talking to the likes of John Krickus and Steve, they're saying, let's not worry about that now. Let's do what's right for the community. And they really did. There was nothing that we asked for that we didn't get, because they knew it was well thought out. We had to put a business case together for that, and that's what we should be doing. But it was all taken care of by the commissioners, and then their reimbursements later on. But let's not worry about that now. So thank you for the opportunity to be here and give thanks to not only our veterans, but our first responders and all the people that are in this room that made it happen for the community. Morris County is a better place because of all of you and what you did. Remember, we saw people in the beginning, 43% positive, Scott, down here. We took a couple out in the ambulances, right? People were in bad shape. These are not numbers to us. These are faces, these are families. But the services that were delivered, heroic services that were delivered in many cases, will never be forgotten by any of us. So God bless you all, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save the day. Superman got nothing on me. I'm only one call away. Call me baby if you need a friend. I just wanna give you love. Come on, come on, come on. Reaching out to you, so take a chance. No matter where you go, no, you're not alone. I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save the day. Superman got nothing on me. I'm only one call away. Come along with me and don't be scared. I just wanna set you free. Come on, come on, come on. You and me can make it anywhere. And for now, we can stay here for a while. Yeah, 'cause I just wanna see you smile. No matter where you go, you're not alone. I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save the day. Superman got nothing on me. I'm only
Aren't you proud to be in Morris County? Much appreciation to Joe Shilp, who is responsible for the media that you were seeing today, as well as connecting it with the music. It's always spot on perfect. So, Joe, I see you up there hiding. Thank you so very much. At this time, I'd like to ask Dr. Iacono to rejoin me on the stage along with Trustee Advocate so that we can give out some awards to some incredible individuals. And as they're joining me, I'd also like you to join me in thanking, she doesn't get a lot of opportunity to be in front because she's responsible for all of the detailed work, but please join me in thanking our Coordinator of Special Events, Colleen McCardle, who is here as well. Colleen, thank you so very much. Senator Bucco, Sheriff Gannon, you all are extraordinary individuals, and from my heart to yours, thank you for the continued support that you have given to members of our community. I think you both gave us a really important message that it's all about the people, and that's exactly what Dr. Iacono reminds us of every single day, that every decision that we make, there is a person behind and for that decision, and you have definitely reflected that in your comments. And as a result of that, CCM would like to thank the people who have helped us along this very, very difficult journey and to do it very successfully, and several of them you have both mentioned. In particular, I'd like to start off by welcoming and thanking the Director of the Morris County Office of Emergency Management, Jeff Paul. Jeff, can you please join us? Thank you, Jeff. This is really fun for me because I get to also thank some really good friends, and the next gentleman is a really good friend of mine and has done just extraordinary work with the Morris County Parks Commission along with his colleague. I'd like to introduce Stu Lasser and Commissioner Cash Schmidt. Can you please both join us? Come on down, Betty. Betty, come on down. You're welcome.
Thanks so much. Thank you, Ricky.
Hey, Stu. Photo op.
How about right over here? Okay.
That's fine. That's fine. Thanks. You hit the button.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you both. And just a small plug for Morris County Parks. We have the best park system in the world, so thank you. You know, I've had the wonderful pleasure of being, as we like to call me, the COVID queen here on campus, managing the decisions that we have made to protect our students in particular, along with Vice President Vivian Ray, who is our Vice President of HR, and she was responsible for the employees. A lot of the decisions that we made with consultation from the Morris County Department of Health, Public Health, and the local Randolph Public Health Department. I am forever grateful for those two departments that have helped guide me and educate me. And so we do have an award for the Morris County Public Health Office, and I'm wondering, Scott DiGiacomo, if you would please come and accept that on their behalf. Thank you. You're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you. The one minor detail that we left off in our introductions about Sheriff Gannon is that he is a CCM alum, and we're very proud. He started right. Sheriff Gannon, if you would please, we are very grateful for the work of the Morris County Sheriff's Office for everything that you have done over this year. Thank you.
I think my grades are still under lock and key. I think.
Thank you.
One more.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We won't talk about the sheriff's disciplinary record that I'm responsible for, so. We've mentioned the Morris County Commissioners through several of the comments, and there is no finest group of individuals who are leading our county. We are very, very appreciative of your support, the difficult decisions that you all have made, but most importantly, the dedication and commitment that you've made to our community. So Commissioner Straw, would you please come and join us? Thank you so very much.
Thanks again, Stu.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
So County College of Morris is very fortunate to have an extremely dedicated force of public safety officers on our campus who are here 24/7. They are among two groups of individuals who were here every single day throughout the pandemic. They provided us and continue to provide us with a very safe and healthy environment. I am very honored to have the opportunity to work daily with our public safety department under the leadership of Steve Ackerman, but most importantly, because Mr. Ackerman cannot be with us, I'd like you all to please join me and thank John Fichter, who is our Associate Director of the Public Safety Department here at County College of Morris. John?
Hey, John.
Thank you. You get over here. This is my best side.
Thanks, John. And then finally, the other group of individuals who spent every single day on our campus, and they do it all the time, is our Department of Plant and Maintenance. These men and women are absolutely amazing. There was never a complaint, there was never a concern, there was never a no, we're not going to do that. Rather, they were there and said, what more could we do? And I am very honored to thank them for all of their work. I'm really happy that Charlene Peterson, who is our newest Director of Plant and Maintenance, is here to accept an award on their honor. Charlene. Thank you very much, gentlemen. So at this time, we would like to give a recognition to the veterans portion of our program. And as Senator Bucco said, I would ask us all to thank members of our veteran service or active military individuals who are here with us today. If you are in any of those categories, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you very much. Thank you for your service and keeping us all so safe. And as a result, we have a video presentation of thanking.
I'll never be on the front line with the blood and sweat and dirt in my eyes, caught up in the crossfire, so I thank you. I never had the courage to sign my name, then kiss my mother and board that plane, only to lose my brothers and feel that pain. So I thank you. From the bottom of my American heart, I pray you make it home. When your back's against the wall out there, just know you're not alone. Because for every wild-eyed hippie who don't like what you do, there's millions of us back home, and we say thank you.
shaking your hand, and by your side is where I'll stand. 'Cause you lay it on the line for this great land. So I thank you. From the bottom of my American heart, I pray you make it home. When your back's against the wall out there, just know you're not alone. Because for every wild-eyed hippie who don't like what you do, there's millions of us back home, and we say thank you. Those of you who never came home, whose names are etched in Arlington stone, down golden streets who you now roam, I thank you. I thank you. Thank you. Yes, I thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you. Yes, I thank you. Yeah, the red, white, and blue. Yeah, we all thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we do.
If you have not yet had an opportunity to drive by our Hill of Heroes across from Parking Lot 1, you will see all of those thank you placards out there. Take the time to look at the individuals who were recognized by members of their family, friends, and the community, as well as all of our emergency responders, first responders, and healthcare heroes. And again, thank you, Mr. Schultz, for that wonderful presentation. At this time, I'd like to ask Trustee Licitra, Paul Licitra, to join us, who is an Army veteran and will provide his reflections from a veteran's perspective. Mr. Licitra.
Thank you, and thank you for coming. As a Vietnam vet, I'm very proud to serve my country. I'm very proud to be an American. I'm going to repeat some of the things you saw in the introduction. On the 11th hour, 11th day in the 11th month, the fighting of World War I ended in 1918. I make that point because about a year ago, I was driving my granddaughter and her girlfriends to dance, probably one of my pickups and deliveries that grandparents do. And it happened to be D-Day, and I turned to them in the back, and who was sitting in the front, and I said, do you know what today is? Today is D-Day, probably one of the most defining moments in American history, at least in our generations, at least before my generation. But no one knew in the car, and these are Army veterans, granddaughters of Army veterans, people who served in the service, and I said that, you know, history is not being taught. The things of wars are going to be, you know, horrible words. It's going to be uncomfortable to be talking about wars in history. So I try and make a point of making a history point in every speech I give, whether it be in veterans communities, which I am part of. But due to the conclusion of World to End All Wars, the Wars to End All Wars, November 11 became a universally recognized day of celebration. The day was originally declared Armistice Day 8 years after the end of World War I and honored only veterans of that war. Then in 1954, after World War II and the Korean War, it was renamed Veterans Day to honor all veterans who served America in war and defended our democracy. So today we honor all veterans who unselfishly placed their lives on the line for our freedom. But we also share with other heroes. And I take pride in sharing it with a lot of other heroes, that the heroes of today. I'm talking about the nurses. I'm talking about the doctors. I'm talking about the hospital staff, the police, and including the sheriff's officers. And personally, I tell Sheriff Gannon this story all the time, that my son-in-law is a sheriff's officer, and every night that he had to come home, he had to be sequestered from his family for 4 months. He went upstairs, took his shower, and was fed through, at the bottom of the stairs. He came to get his food, but he was without his family for 4 months, and that was the people served in the jail. The first aiders, the food pantry workers, and I remember going into the commissary, because at first I was very apprehensive to go into the ShopRite to shop, because there was just too many people. So I went to the commissary because there was less people over at the Picatinny. And I wouldn't leave without thanking these workers of coming in. These workers weren't paid a lot of money. But they came in because they had to serve us, they had to feed us, they had to provide the food for us. But there's so many people that have to be thanked, and I think today sharing it on stage with all those people makes me proud. These men and women were ordinary people until they heard the call of duty and answered it. They left their families, their homes, and their lives, not for recognition of fame or even the honor bestowed upon them today. They fought to protect our country and to maintain our way of life. As we honor our veterans and remember their great deeds, let us also salute those who are currently fighting for our freedom. The war on terrorism has helped us realize how truly unique the American way of life is. The freedom we enjoy is extremely special, and that is why we must defend it. So now is the time for not only honor those who fought or are fighting for our freedom, it is also the time for each of us to take part in protecting it. Defense of freedom is not just for those in the military. Each one of us shares that duty and that responsibility. We don't have to join the Army or the Navy or other organizations of defense to actually defend our way of life. We can protect our freedom simply by remembering it here in America. If you want to preserve our freedom, we must put them into action. For example, by voting, as you saw this year, in elections, speaking out against injustices. We must also ensure that everyone feels the benefits of our freedom. And we do that by volunteering in our communities and teaching our children what it really means to be an American. Veterans Day isn't just a dream and a day for veterans. It is a day for all Americans. It's a day to remember why they are fighting, and a day for all of us to begin our journey of protecting our freedom and the freedom of many future generations. Thank you for honoring me. Thank you for honoring veterans. And let's walk together today and tomorrow still honoring them by living in the freedom they protected. God bless America, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Licitra. And finally, I would like to invite up to the podium Commissioner John Krickus, who is here to provide us with reflections from his perspective. Commissioner Krickus.
Well, first I want to thank you all for attending and remembering and recognizing our heroes and healthcare workers today. I want to thank Dr. Simmons, Dr. Iacono, the CCM trustees, all the CCM community. This is not a new event. This is an event you've been holding for several years, and I held it outdoors last year. So really appreciate continuing that tradition. And for the young people, to continue that tradition, as Paul alluded to. And I want to thank all the agencies that were recognized today. And I would just add one observation. When this pandemic hit, it wasn't like Scott or Jeff or anybody else had a playbook to go to. The last pandemic was 100 years ago. And the virus was unknown. There were a lot of unknowns. So dealing in that situation under the most trying of circumstances really indicates the dedication and talent that we have in Morris County. So we're very grateful for that response. So one way I want to talk about Veterans Day is what our U.S. Armed Forces have achieved, especially because recent events seem tough, seem like we've had setbacks. But you really need to let history play out and see how events are seen years or even decades from now. And I want to go back to the 1970s when I was thinking about joining the military, and I ended up joining the Marine Corps Reserves. And things were tough in the 70s. It didn't look good. Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos had just fallen. Russia was in Afghanistan. South Korea, we had fought a war 25 years there earlier. We still had tens of thousands of troops stationed there. South Korea had an authoritarian government. It was a very poor country. And as I was contemplating joining the military, my brother was serving in the U.S. Army, 3rd Armored Division in Freiburg, Germany, by what was the Fulda Gap, where a Russian invasion was the most likely route. And I remember talking to my brother, Tommy. He was a mechanic, a tank mechanic. I said, Tommy, the Warsaw Pact was the communist pact, Poland, East Germany, Russia, as a counter to NATO. I said, they have 50,000 tanks. Can't they just run over us? And he said to me in a very nonchalant way, well, how many of those tanks do you think are actually running? And that observation, as it made me stop and think, really indicated what was going on in the socialist countries behind the Iron Curtain. Their economies were rotting away. And as I used to say, the people in the Soviet Union used to say, they pretend to pay us and we pretend to work. And no more than a short 10 years later, November 9th, 1989, we saw the Berlin Wall fall. So the U.S. Armed Forces, who had stood there for nearly 50 years after World War II and had defended Western Europe, had succeeded. And for the younger people here who may not remember that, the Berlin Wall falling was incredible. We had grown up thinking this was a permanent way of living. It would always be the United States against the Soviet Union, two superpowers opposing each other, and that wouldn't change. And yet we were turning our TV sets on and watching regular people with sledgehammers and hammers and their fingernails tearing down the Berlin Wall. And we watched as regime after regime in Eastern Europe fell. And we watched, and myself having part of my heritage from Lithuania and Czechoslovakia, we watched people taste freedom for the first time in their lives. And it was miraculous. It was miraculous to watch that. And a little over 2 years later, December 1991, the Soviet Union fell apart into multiple countries. And I can't tell you how, again, amazing that was as we watched millions of people become part of democracy. People who didn't have to worry about that midnight knock at the door. People who could now read the books they wanted to read, write the plays they wanted to write, see or not see the plays or the books that were being written. You were no longer compelled to have to live a life a certain way. So as we think about those hundreds of millions of people who now are able to enjoy freedom, that was the United States Armed Forces and the determination to be there to protect freedom. And by the way, South Korea is now a thriving democracy. South Korea, among the G20 nations, has the highest percentage of people with college degrees. And South Korea also gave us Gangnam Style, right? So a lot has got, Paul, you want to give us a demonstration? A lot of good has come from the determination of this country, of the United States Armed Forces. We have been on the right side of history. So to our heroes and healers, thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. You know, I'm not a real big fan of history. Sorry, Dr. Iacono. I'm not. But I appreciate the perspective because it helps us understand as to how we are and how we got here today. And it has been our delight for County College of Mars to be one of the thriving forces that encourages and reminds us of the need for us to do the right things to make sure that we all can enjoy our freedom, our health, our livelihoods, and be able to get up every morning and not have to worry as much as others in the world have over the course of the many years. So thank you all so very much for being here to celebrate Veterans Day with us. Again, thank you to all of our military individuals who are here, who work every day still to make sure that we are free, safe, and as far away from harm's way as possible. We do have the opportunity to come together many times, but I will also ask you to remember every single day, take the opportunity to say thank you to someone and anyone, because it goes a very, very long way. There will be some refreshments in the lobby should you choose to join us. And again, I encourage you to stop by our Hill of Heroes as you exit campus adjacent to Parking Lot 1. And most importantly, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you all so very much.